Yo, welcome. Yo, I don't know why I said yo. That's how I start off my text messages. And I'll tell you what, Darius.
Did you just say your sex messages?
No, my text messages.
Is that how you're texting your wife?
No.
Yo, Kate.
Yo. You going to be home for dinner later?
Yo, I'm going to get you digitally pregnant.
Your brother, James, texted me, yo, like forever ago when we visited him in New York the first time. And he was like, yo, when you come, and like trying to figure out details. Yeah. And I robbed that. I stole it. And that's like how I start a ton of my text messages. It's purely from Bobby Price.
I sent an email a couple weeks ago to a bunch of pastors that I hadn't met yet and started it with yo. And Brittany was like, I don't think they're going to like you if you
that's not very
email like that. Not very pastoral.
Yo, welcome to NewWayStories. We're a comedy podcast that talks about creativity and making the world a better place.
Great Nick Diaz impression.
So, that's what we're doing. And today, we're talking about being yourself. We're all snowflakes.
I meant to hit the wah, wah,
and,
wah.
And you got to lean into it. We've talked about this in a sense before, but we're gonna retouch on it because I've been thinking about it recently. Ben gave me this comic book app / website to help me catalog all my comic books
and to keep track of new stuff.
It lets you know when they're coming out, all that fun stuff. It's a great website, Comic Geek. And so I spent quite a few hours. I was updating you guys in the group chat on what the numbers are. Bought a few more comics, so we're pretty close to 600 comic books, which is
a lot of comics.
I was gonna say it's not quite as many as I had just assumed that I had somewhere in the 1,000 neighborhood, just out of the sheer like volume of years that I was collecting. But as I thought about it, there's a lot of years that I like didn't buy anything, and then there's seasons where I buy a ton. This is like pretty classic Jesse.
Yeah.
There's a season where I go hard for 2 or 3 months, and then I won't think about comic books for another like 9 months.
And another classic Jesse thing, you'll get like issues 2, 4, and 5, and never get 1 or 3.
I mean, I'll try.
It's hard to find some of those things.
I get, you go to the new comics on Wednesdays, and you go, oh, what's this like random Creature from the Black Lagoon comic book coming out? And they only have issue 2 and 3. And so it's like, well, obviously I'm going to buy a Creature from the Black Lagoon comic book. But now it's impossible to find, 1 and 4. Although I did just buy the Chuck Norris Karate Commandos. I bought the other 3 on eBay. I was just like, I'm going to just get these.
$5,000 is nothing.
$5,000, no big deal.
I'm going to get them.
So I was looking at these and then also just kind of thinking about myself and my hobbies.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. I think that I'm pretty unique, but I think everybody's unique. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I don't want to say I'm more unique because there's people out there that are also unique in their own ways.
Yeah.
But
it's like we're all different people.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that this might come as a shock to people, but this is why it's, I think, a little hard to market this podcast is because it's really hard to find. I know that there's people out there that are like me, but it's hard to find that. I want everybody to be like me. This is what we were talking about earlier about, a few weeks ago. You want power, or me, I want the Walt Disney effect where I'm passionate about something and then all of a sudden the rest of the world is passionate about it. Couple things here. One, I'm learning that my body, my age, my body is my temple, and no, my age and my interests are sometimes don't always line up. So while
I'm with you there.
While I was cataloging my comic books, I built this comic book box back in the 9th grade, 8th or 9th grade. It's a huge box made of plywood. And when you fill it with comic books, when you fill it with like 200 books, it's quite heavy. And so it was back in this kind of corner in this little side closet thing. And I got into the closet, and then I picked up the
Jesse's in the
I
closet.
picked up the box, and the door was kind of slightly ajar, and so I was trying to get out of the closet. And I'm not trying to make that joke, but it's just what happened.
I mean, it will be our first episode in June.
And so it's a huge box, and I'm like contorting my back to get out. And so the long story short is that I like really effed my back up cataloging comic books, which is like, I don't know if that's like crazy nerdy to say. It reminds me of I think it's Revenge of the Nerds, the 80s movie. He like broke his leg, and they can't go on the trip, and they're like, I'm so bummed that I can't go because I got a broken leg. He goes, that's just so embarrassing. You know, who breaks their leg playing chess? And they go, that's not embarrassing. That move was insane. But so that happened. Okay. So age and, interests are not necessarily lining up.
Yeah.
And then I was golfing yesterday, which was a terrible mistake because every swing hurt my back, and I was like trying to like loosen up and stay loose and all that thing, and I was pretty much bedridden last night.
Oh my god,
dude! I had to get out of bed. I was like, and like icy hot, like on my back. I'm slamming Advil.
Meanwhile, your pregnant wife's like,
yeah,
going for a
well,
walk.
yeah, I
She's
can't
making dinner.
she's like, hey, can you get this for me? And I can't be like, no, my back hurts. Like,
I was getting my comic books.
What a freaking old man thing to say. So. I'm not complaining, but I am whimpering from time to time while in bed.
Jesse's trying to lick his wounds.
I don't think I've thrown out my back.
Reach my back.
Like a real thrown out my back. Yeah. I definitely have heard it in the past. Here's the wild thing. I sent you that video. I did a backflip off of like a 5-foot drop on my 35th birthday.
Freaking awesome.
Didn't hurt my back.
Wow.
Yeah, walked away from it. Didn't land it clean, but Kyle Bisconner and Casey Bisconner both peer pressure me into doing that.
I think you might benefit from just thinking about which muscles you're engaging doing which activities.
Yeah, so and that's, I think the problem is that I didn't think I was engaging muscles while cataloging comic books. But I was golfing, and it's at Apple Tree, and there's a lot of water on Apple Tree. There's these ponds, which makes it really pretty. But there were like 5 turtles in the pond, and some of them were like really baby turtles. And I was like, guys, check out these turtles. These like baby, they're so cute, like these little baby turtles. And then the 3 guys that I was golfing with were like, oh yeah, those are turtles. And they like walked away. I'm like, guys. Like, let's show some excitement here. And also, full transparency, Kate bought me the Crocodile Hunter, like a complete run on DVD for my birthday. So I've been watching a crap ton of Crocodile Hunter. I see these turtles.
Is that Steve Irwin's show?
Steve Irwin, baby.
Okay. I didn't realize his show was called Crocodile Hunter.
So the original is the Crocodile Hunter. And then the one I actually got is Croc Files, which brings a whole new thing. I'm a crockhead on a few different.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a few different hats as a crockhead.
That's so
Crocodile Hunter. Anyway, it's great, but I'm like into wildlife. Like seeing wildlife, western pond turtle in its natural habitat of a golf course, and these guys couldn't be less interested.
Seeing a freaking amphibious being or a reptilian lizard in their natural freaking habitat should get us freaking psyched out of our freaking minds.
Should get excited.
You're not a lizard unless you're a lizard. If that's what you're trying to say.
Whoa!
If that's what
How do
you're
we
trying
know
to
they're
say.
Not lizards? Yeah.
Dave from Yakima Foursquare. Are you a lizard person?
He wasn't there this time.
Is that what you? Oh no. Well,
but,
never mind.
So.
Edler, that's his last name.
All of these things to say is that I have some unique hobbies, right? I got the comic books.
Yeah.
I think I maybe told you guys about this. This is another thing. I'm hanging out in these different groups, and there's no crossover that I really, really want. There's, probably like 4 people in my life that have like real crossover.
Right.
there's something called a breakfast ball. It's the first drive of the day. Did I tell you guys about this? Okay. He messed it up and he goes, I'm going to take a second breakfast ball.
Yep.
Yeah. And nobody got the Hobbit reference anyway.
You just need to take us. Also,
so
you need to golf with more pastors. You need to go golfing with Matt Alexander.
Well,
Matt Alexander would
I
be
think
the
I'm golfing with
perfect-
older. I'm golfing with older. But Matt Alexander hasn't seen Star Wars.
That's not
is that true?
Yeah, that's what. Unless he's doing a bit.
All right, I'm going to call
Unless he's
Russell
doing a long
Johnson.
con.
We are calling for Matt Alexander to apologize or resign.
So and that's like a great example is that I think Matt and I connect on probably like 2 or 3 things, and then completely are disconnected on something like Star Wars.
Why
right?
on earth has he not seen any? I mean, it's a bummer because
how do you not see it? Is my question.
By the time you're in your 40s, it's too late. You're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's the problem is you have to have watched it. Like, man, any listeners out there who have children, raise your children right. Make them watch Star Wars when they're 9 or 10.
Teach them in the ways of the Lord.
Yeah.
Make them
Which will not depart for it.
Which includes episode 4 first.
5 and 6.
I don't even really care. I just
1, 2, 3.
It's true. That I think is the different sects that you go, Baptist, Pentecostal, you go, there's some things we differ on, but pretty much we're all in agreement that we should show them Star Wars before they're
Star Wars.
You want to do prequels first or the original trilogy? It's fine.
But if you want,
it's not a heaven or hell issue.
Is it more New Testament? Is it more Old Testament? As long as it's talking about the Bible.
Yeah. But the
Battlestar Galactica, it's kind of like Star Wars, though, isn't it? It kind of all roads lead to the same place. You go, no, it doesn't.
No.
They're like, someone's like, oh, we started with Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Shut up, you Mormon.
Luke is the way, the
They're
truth.
trying to get in on the. You go, no, we're all the same, right?
No, we are not the same.
Got those.
That probably is what I'll do. I probably will, if I have children, introduce them to the sequel trilogies first.
That's fine.
Not fine. Don't talk to me.
Wait, you're saying the sequel? Oh, you're saying the sequel.
I'll probably have them watch 7, 8, and 9 first because they're the ones that will be the easiest for them to watch because they don't have crazy, old, outdated, completely foreign. If my kids are born, it'll be 2035 before they watch Star Wars.
Here's my thing,
watch
though.
100-year-old episode 4 with them.
Here's my thing, though, is that if you show them early, they don't know that it's not great special effects. But I still stand that a lot of the practical effects in the original trilogy hold up. It is like the lightsabers and stuff are maybe not as great, but I think if you show them, I think if you show them young
Pixar movies,
yeah,
by the time they're 3 years old, unfortunately, they'll know.
We will document this over the next 10 years.
Yep.
And I was just telling Kate, I would go, I want my kid. This is selfish. I've always said I'm not going to push my interests on my kid because I want them to be their own person. It's one of the reasons that I am not going to name our kid a family name, that sort of stuff. And I always hated the dads that are like in the parking lot at their son's baseball practice, like trying to relive the glory days.
Yeah.
And it's like,
not
dude, let your kid have their own life. And so I want my kid to have.
Have you ever talked
to
to adults who that was their experience?
Oh, they hate it, and they're like,
they absolutely hate it. Really, I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I've talked to some people. It really messes them up.
It does, absolutely.
Really, really gives them a very confused sense of identity. Yeah,
you do have to like let your kid go, right? Like, and even early, I think even earlier than what you might think.
But I would think like 4
when they're 5.
But this is all
let them have some autonomy.
This is all philosophical.
Let them.
Right?
Never mind.
We'll find out but a selfish part of me, wants my 3rd grader to be like into Casablanca, and and Kate was like, maybe we should save the kind of like more mature themes for later in life, and I thought. I go like, oh, I guess you're right. Like, I guess that this is like an insane. Just because there's not like language, sex, or violence is not it doesn't mean that it's not a movie that kids should watch, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, that's a pretty good point.
There's a lot more nuance that can be used than the PG-13
right?
R
But
rating system.
I was like, okay, fine. But Creature from the Black Lagoon, that's I mean, they're gonna like that movie.
We want them to know that if they go to a Black Lagoon, there's a good chance they're gonna get creatured.
They're gonna get creatured by the missing link.
Jesse, it's okay if you want to show your kid your interest. I don't think you need to be afraid of that.
Ben is speaking as a father with a lot of experience, Jeff.
Because my kids better be into action
Ben is your
figures.
superior.
I am. No.
He's your mentor now.
Well, here's the thing, because like my dad is he's a musician, he's a music teacher, and I don't know, maybe it just happened that I also love that, but I also just grew up around it so much that I just also I have an appreciation for it.
I do think there's an osmosis effect where it's like I'm gonna like comic books and movies regardless, right? Like whether my kid's into it or not. And I do think that there's a sense, like there's movies and things that I'm interested in, like 70s and 80s rock. I love like because of my dad,
exactly.
Right? Like it's not.
Yeah.
I guess arguably he did force that upon me.
But do you regret that he did?
Yeah, no, I don't. But it was something that was. I guess it is a thing where you go. It wasn't like he was like, hey, you can only listen to this, and you can only listen. And if you're gonna listen to it, make sure I'm in the room so that we can like, we can spin this record together.
We can high five after the song gets over.
Yeah. So there is definitely a thing.
Smoke a J over,
like,
give me 3 steps.
Ironically, it was to ooh that smell, an anti-drug and alcohol campaign. Yeah. So be yourself is what we're trying to say. But I think that there's influences that you like your parents, especially as a young kid. As a young kid, you want to be your parents.
Yeah.
When is the shift? What's the classic youth pastor? Like a junior high, a middle schooler is like, do you think I'm cool?
Yeah.
And then like a high schooler is like, do I think you're cool? Right. That's like kind of the shift. And so, K through 6 or 7, you're just doing fun things. And I think if they show an interest, like keep leaning into it. And I think you could, it's such a big nuance. I think you can make an argument that you like make your kid do piano lessons for a few years, and whether they like it or not, you go, actually, like, hey, take my word for it. This actually is going to be better for your brain.
I was going to mention that
in the long run.
Because I took piano lessons for a while, and I really enjoyed it at first, but there were a couple years where I was like, gosh, do I really have to keep doing this? Yeah. But I'm really glad.
I would say, in my personal opinion on the music, because I also grew up in music, I would say make your kids play drums. One, because every kid wants to play the drums. And it's
with
actually
that being
fun.
said, though, practice time is going to be brutal.
It's going to be brutal.
Okay, do you want to hear a little bit?
Where a
Give them the
keyboard,
pots
you
and
can
pans,
turn that baby down.
Yeah. That's what I think. Make your...
Yeah.
If you're going to... I understand the piano lessons thing. My mom was a piano teacher. I just don't think...
That's how I met Stephen Thaxton.
Yeah.
Who's a regular listener of the pod.
Oh, hey, Steve-O.
Piano lessons.
Stevie T.
That's really crazy, actually, to think about that.
That is kind of wild how that world converged. My
how
mom
long ago that was.
Was a homeschool mom. And then you guys became best friends with the Thaxtons. That's wild.
Yeah. And you grew to hate him, which is weird too. No, just kidding.
Well, he did steal my dad's love.
Well,
every time he was over for piano lessons.
That's classic Steve Thaxton.
Classic
just
Steve
stealing
Thaxton.
father's love.
Stealing daddies out here. They call him the daddy thief. Hide your daddies because Stephen Thaxton is out here. And then he unbuttons his shirt to show that like really nice coiffed of chest hair that he has. Yeah.
Looking
He's like,
good,
hey,
Steven.
I'll
Always
mow your
looking good.
lawn for free, Gary. I can trim those hedges. I can fix that. He's the classic Sam from Holes.
What were you going to say?
Have you freaking seen the lines in the yard? 5-year-old me was like, yeah, I freaking seen the lines in the yard, Dad.
I mean, in your defense, though, your dad made you get out there with that like old school, like
freaking killed it, dude.
The old lawnmower that you push it and the wheels turn the blade.
I think I only did that once or twice, but I did it.
Dude, I saw you doing it. I was like, And you had a big yard when we were like 6 or 7.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, it was like we're
Yeah.
lucky like
Yeah.
CPS didn't get involved with like child labor laws.
No, I genuinely, I know that's a joke, but just in case my mom hears this, I hurt my mom's feelings just the other day while I was preaching. And I didn't really say anything that I think I should apologize for, but I hurt her feelings nonetheless. I will say, I told her, I was like, I'm always honest. I really appreciate my dad making me mow the lawn. I freaking am great at mowing my lawn.
Yeah, that's listen, you were mowing the lawn with that, and I like you talking about throwing your back out. I was chopping wood like as a small child. You know, as soon as you can hold the axe,
get them after it.
You need a wood because it's too expensive to run the heater. So I'm out there wielding the axe and like throwing my back out as a 6th grader because I'm like hand chopping a cord of wood.
Yep, phenomenal. All that to say, I do think
our parents forced us into labor. Well,
let your kids play an instrument that they enjoy. Like if you're passionate about them learning music, I want the record to state there's nothing that's more intellectual about playing piano than playing drums. There's nothing that's more musical about playing piano than playing drums. Most of the best musicians are the people with the best rhythm. So this homeschool idea that's proliferated that like if your kids play the piano, they're going to be Mozart is bullcrap and it's unnecessary.
Well, and as they always say, a guilty heart has got no rhythm. So,
oh my gosh,
get them in, build that rhythm. No, I think I
guess that's why Ben can't do 3/4.
I was sorry. I can't do 3/4. It's 4/4 or nothing for me. You want me on the worship team? It's 4/4 or nothing.
What about a 6/8? Like great are you, Lord?
Dude,
Did you do a 6/8?
I need someone looking at me to say now, and I go, dum.
You I love.
Dum.
No, Jesse, you messed it up already.
I did it on the 4. I told you. All right. So all of that to say, be yourself.
Be yourself.
If your kid likes,
or don't
be. No, you should be yourself. If your kid likes music, let him do music. I will say this wasn't supposed to turn into how to raise your kid. It is becoming more relevant. In the past, when I was like, "This is how you should raise your kid,"
this podcast.
But
when we started this podcast, we made a pact to never have children. The 3 of us all said we're never going to have kids, and we're always going to be young and fearless and free. And then Ben, not surprisingly, fell off the wagon quick with his virile freaking seed.
And it was Malia. She tricked me. She tricked me.
As you guys learned about peer pressure, people said, "Hey, you got to do it." I said, "I don't have a great argument against it." No, father time. Undefeated is what I've heard, and so we trying to get on as fast as we can now that Kate's done. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You guys have done a good job.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
So I do think kind of floating stuff in front of your kids where you're like, hey, like what's your interest level on this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's totally cool. And if they like take to something, I think too, they don't have the wherewithal. Oh, this is a whole nother thing. They don't have the wherewithal. If you're like, I really enjoy drums or piano lessons or whatever, and then 6 months in, they're like in the grind and they're like, I don't want to go. And you go, no, you got to finish out your commitment.
Just do a year.
Pushing that, pushing your kids in that is also a good thing.
Yeah.
But
it's
like
for their mental health, honestly.
Forcing them to play sports when they don't want to play sports or whatever. You guys have seen Dead Poet Society. You get it. Don't force them to do stuff they don't want to do.
Yeah, I didn't read poetry. I let the poetry drip from my tongue.
Well, that's too sensual.
That's what it says in the movie.
In this comic book cataloging moment.
That's what we were talking about.
There was some stuff. So all of these things are happening and I'm thinking about it and which is reiterating the point that it's important to be you, important to be yourself.
Yep.
And I found, some of my favorite comic books, my favorite comic book writer is Grant Morrison. His 2012 runs with Batman Incorporated and I think the Batman and Robin. Are like
Batman R.I.P.
Yeah, like they're so good. And it was like those are some of the first like comic books that I was like, oh shoot, I actually really like reading this. Most of comic book for me was like sick cover art or just like the style of art, which is really funny because I have a ton of 90s, like early 90s Spider-Man and like other, like also Robin. I have a lot of early 90s Robin, which is a lot of fun. And then you're cataloging, and then Darius too, you're in the box that you gave me forever ago, there's a bunch of Wolverine, right? And so it goes from, cool. It's literally like a 3-year run. I don't know how you got.
Someone gave it to me.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was
Someone
like,
gave it to me from a library.
I don't ever remember Darius being so dedicated to pick up this full run of Wolverine.
I had maybe 50 comic books. I had maybe like 50 comic books that I owned. And then I was given, I want to say 150 or 200.
Yeah.
And I think I gave almost all of them to you.
Yeah.
Do you still have any right now?
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, I've got a small.
Why haven't you given me those? No.
Yeah, I've got a small shoebox somewhere with some Captain Americas hiding away.
So it reiterated the point. I really love late 80s, early 90s art. And then on this Wolverine run in particular, and some of the Batman stuff that I have, there's a shift about 1995, 96 in the style of art. And it becomes very cartoony and over the top and really actually just what I would consider as bad art.
Yeah.
And so just I knew this, but as I was cataloging them, I go, this is so sick. This is so sick. This isn't so great. Oh, 96? Yeah, that makes sense. So that was kind of fun. But what I was going to say, Grant Morrison, I really got into. And then I found a whole bunch of like Batman, like Legends of the Dark Knight from the late 80s. They were written by Grant Morrison. And
that's cool.
And I was like, oh, I guess I kind of was a fan of him before I even knew I was a fan of Grant Morrison. And then the same thing, there's this Image run called Defender that is about an android boy who starts having emotions. And I really love, I just bought the graphic novel.
You feel like you see yourself in that little bit?
I see that boy a little bit.
That boy's still here. That boy's still here today.
I'm that boy.
I'm that boy.
So a really awesome run, and I just got the graphic novel of it, just reading the story. But it's got by a guy named Dustin Nguyen, and sick art, like really cool. But then I found some old from like early 2000s. Like Batman and Robin comic books that were written and drawn by Dustin Nguyen. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. This is another guy that apparently I'm a fan of and didn't even realize that I was a fan of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Because they're so because they have a style. They know who they are. And especially in Grant Morrison, he's been doing it for like 30 plus years. I'm drawn to them as creators. But I wasn't buying those issues early on because it's Grant Morrison or because it's Dustin Nguyen. I was just like, what sick art. And then I like them. The same thing happened. I think I talked about this on an earlier pod, but the same thing happened with the guy who wrote the screenplay for Jurassic Park, David Koepp. He wrote and directed some movies that I really enjoyed. And I just kind of stumbled upon the fact that he did that. There's like Ghost Town, Premium Rush, are these kind of fringe movies that I really enjoy. And I was saw that they were written and directed by David Koepp. And I was like, oh, this is cool. What else does this guy write? And I found out he did Jurassic Park. And I go, okay, this is like top 10 movie of all time. And then he did like Panic Room. He wrote Panic Room.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, shoot, I guess I'm a David Koepp fan.
I think we may have already talked about this. I know I sent this to you in a text. I think that when we were talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, Jesse, you brought this up, but I could be wrong. But regardless, for Brittany's birthday last week, she wanted to pick a movie to watch, which is funny because this is that like we watch
Deadpool, Wolverine.
Is that like movie that makes it sound like I'm picking movies all the time? Like what's the couple from The Office where he never lets Aaron pick the movie that they're gonna watch?
Oh, Gabe.
And then Gabe is like, no, I found one we'll both like. It's called Death. It's like it's called like Death Robots because you wanted to watch Wall-E and I wanted to watch a horror movie. He's like, it's a compromise. That's not it at all. But for whatever reason, my wife said, I want to watch a movie and I want it to be something that I pick. And I was like, yeah, great. And so we watched Big Fat Liar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right.
And there's a moment in the movie. It's got I've never seen a movie with so many cameos. I forgot about that. I also forgot the movie's like excellently written. Paul Giamatti. He's hilarious in the whole movie, kid. I friggin' love Paul Giamatti. And Sean Levy makes a cameo. And I was like, that's Sean Levy. He must have directed this movie. And then we see the credits, written, directed by Sean Levy. And I'm like, gosh, that makes so much sense. Like everything that he's done, I have really loved. Like, even some of the stuff that like wasn't commercially successful, like he did the Atom Project. A lot of people didn't like the movie. I really loved that movie. I thought it was really, really cool.
I just watched Cheaper by the Dozen
Cheaper
1
by the Dozen,
and 2.
Yeah.
Solid family flicks.
Yeah,
it was a great time.
Really funny stuff. Really funny.
We're gonna have 12 kids now.
You get, you get inspired by stuff.
Yeah. Get inspired.
And then
I think Sean Levy is a great example where it doesn't. He for whatever reason hasn't made like the name recognition of like Steven Spielberg or something where you go directed by Sean Levy
or James Gunn.
Yeah, right. Like, but you're like, man, this guy's catalog is insane.
Yeah. Well, he's directing the new. This is crazy. He's directing Starfighter with Ryan Gosling.
Oh,
Star
that's
Wars
right.
universe,
That's right.
Which
I think in the last 10 years he has gotten quite a bit more acclaim because I think he co-produced Stranger Things.
Yeah, he did that too. He wrote some of Stranger Things. He co-produced Stranger Things. I think in the next 5 years, Sean Levy will be a name that like anybody who knows the name of a director will be like, oh yeah, Sean Levy is one of my favorite directors.
Right.
I think it was just funny because he's like 50, but it's crazy.
Yeah. He's been pumping out movies since the mid 90s, probably even before that.
His I don't know if it's directed or written. You see Arrival, Night at the Museum, Cheaper by the Dozen, Date Night, Big Fat Liar, Atom Project.
The first Night at the Museum,
great,
super solid.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of like a random, it's that's written by Thomas Lennon, who plays Lieutenant Dangle in Reno 911.
So cool.
And essentially, they were like, "Hey, I need you to write Night at the Museum, and then we'll fund the Reno 911 movie."
Are you serious?
Like, all right, cool. Yeah.
So he just like threw that together and it's like a solid movie?
Well, it's like him and his writing. He is like a screenwriter, so he's somebody in the name. But it's like they're not going to greenlight Reno 911 movie without,
unless you can generate some income for them.
Yeah. Right.
Also, you just backtracking a little bit, you said 96. There's like a subreddit and a thing about the year 1996 that was like a really big downturn in comics.
Really?
I think it had to do with Marvel going bankrupt because he had a really high, people were buying a lot of comics in the early 90s, and then it kind of dipped really hard in 96.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I was
just
that
makes sense.
That
I didn't know that, but dude, some of the artwork from the late 90s and especially the early 2000s, it's funny that you say that they went bankrupt because it looks like commercial artwork. Like it looks like the way that they draw cartoons for kitschy things that they're going to sell. Oh gosh, why is my mind blanking? Anyway, for like merchandise, it looks like merchandise artwork, like in the late 90s and early 2000s. I'm like, why does this look like somebody making merchandise for Walmart drew it? And that was always my big beef.
I think it probably is not until 2004. There probably is like 2003, 2004. There's probably a 10-year run where it's like, man, this art is really not great. But
so I'm sure that this is the point where we lose like a lot of people. I'm sure Casey McKay and Stephen Thaxton have no interest in the last 20 minutes.
Listen, I can't speak for Casey, but I know Steve's a diehard. Good. He's in it to win it.
So for those of you that we've lost talking about comic book art,
so sorry.
What about fart jokes?
Hey, I will say one of the issues that you gave me. Okay, this is 2002. I'm looking at this is a Batman drawn by Jim Lee. You gave me this book, Darius, like an idiot. But it's the first appearance of Hush.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so raw, not graded, worth $36. And if I got it graded, it would be upwards of $200.
Whoa!
That's really cool. I remember it was in the box that I gave you because I remember seeing that and being like, "Oh, Jesse's obsessed with this. He'll love this."
Yeah, and you were right. Jim Lee, another guy that I'm because of the Hush series. I'm like, oh, Jim Lee's really sick.
So I was watching the Bob Dylan movie, which I think I told you guys,
Yeah.
really, really like well done movie with just absolutely no like meaningful plot, in my opinion. You get to the end of the movie and you're like, okay, so Bob Dylan played electric guitar. That's cool.
Ah, interesting.
And people in Edward Norton did not like it one bit. But the movie is like all throughout the movie is really, really cool. It's beautiful. I think little Timmy Shall does a great job.
Little
But
Timmy.
there's this moment where Lil Tim as Bobby Dill says, yeah, people just want to see something. You can be beautiful, you can be ugly, just don't be plain. And there's like this talking about like being yourself. I think that's what I've been thinking about as we've been talking about artists, is like draw something grotesque or draw the Mona Lisa. Just don't draw something that's plain. Just don't, make a movie that, I don't like shock jockeys. I think it's extremely lazy, but like make something that really challenges people or make something that really moves people, but don't make something that's just there.
Yeah. I just watched the mural episode of Parks and Rec last night, and they're trying to come up with it per, and they want to win. And so Leslie goes to Mark and is like, Mark, make us something that is going to win. And it's just a man on a bench in a park, and it's very like plain. She's like, this is boring. Like he goes, it doesn't make a stance. Like this is government. Mm-hmm. They're not going to put anything up. It's like this other guy has got, the bald eagle and the American flag. He's like, it's pro-America, but it's a stance. Like, because that's the mistake. You go too pro on something and they're not going to put it up. He goes, this will win. It's not great. But it's in the middle. And so that's what's going to win. But so that's whenever you walk into a government building and you go, man, this is so sterile and sucky. you go, because they've not made a stance. They've been in the middle purposely. They are creating things and putting up buildings for you to hate them all the more. They don't mean to do that, but that's how I feel.
Cool,
which is why we should storm them.
No, Ben,
you
can't use the same lingo as a stormtrooper and expect to be on the good side of history.
What you should
it's kind of like this is the argument with Kate all the time, as she talks about the Roman Empire all the time.
Who doesn't love the Roman Empire?
She's like,
empires are not inherently bad. Technically you're right, but like when you say the empire, you're talking about Darth Vader and Darth Sidious. Like, they are inherently bad, and inherently bad people create empires. They don't create.
Maybe Kate knows a lot more about the Roman Empire than I do. Obviously, I study it mostly from the point of like the early history of the persecuted Christian church.
Listen, I will say I've got
they don't have a great track record.
I've got more. Well, and she's saying like, what
who does
how are you how are you defining what a good empire or a good
they had millions of
is?
Slaves, way more slaves than anybody else. It sounds like they're winning to me.
So number one there
killed way more people. One there. No, they did. And they created the road system that had never existed before, all across like the known world, and they unified people. And there is genuinely.
The Roman Empire, they knew who they were, and they were able to get behind a single vision, because if you didn't get behind that vision, you got killed. Which is one way.
Get under the vision or get under the ground. That's the Roman Empire's.
Julius Caesar.
Kate sounded like Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith when he was like trying to justify everything to Padme.
Did I told you guys that we rewatched?
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
Get under the Empire or get under the ground.
Not a bad movie, man. It's not. It's
what
not,
I was saying this whole time.
So yeah,
from my point of view, everybody else is a big idiot.
And then Obi-Wan was like, well, That's not true from a certain point of view.
Remember, he stands there like this.
That is true. He strikes the Superman pose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've already
know.
done that yourself.
You've done that yourself.
You've done that yourself.
It is one of my favorite real
By
life
yourself,
comebacks.
you've already done that.
Whenever like someone spills something or makes a mess or whatever, it's my go-to is you've done that yourself. So good.
You've done that yourself.
I think knowing who you are as a creative,
Yeah.
or knowing who you are as a person,
As a leader of an empire.
helps you as a creative, helps you create vision and actually accomplish something, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
what Darius was saying, like you can't try to appease both sides. This is something that I struggle with because I want to appease both sides. As a middle child, I want to be the peacemaker, the peacekeeper, rather than a peacemaker.
Sure.
Peacemaker. DC, James Gunn.
Pacemaker. I want to make
the
pace.
and I want to make everybody happy, but the reality is like even if you're doing good, you're gonna piss somebody off, and you can't let that stop you. You just gotta like know who you are. So last thing here, how do you know who you are? How do you figure that out? I have been on this. I've been on a journey.
Oh,
It's
God.
been a 10 plus year journey of figuring out who I am.
Yeah.
Just
We're all in a season. We're all
It's
going
been
through
a
seasons.
10 or 12 year walkabout
Mhm.
of,
In
what's
the epic.
what's Jess Man
In the
all
Australian
about?
wilderness.
Exactly.
He's about Crocs.
And I could go on that walkabout, unlike John Locke. I've also watched some
Lame
Lost
loser.
recently.
Bald.
That was I think it was an SNL bit, but John Locke is in a wheelchair, right? And then he goes to the island and he can walk,
Mhm.
but he still can't grow hair. Was like why does his legs get healed, but the hair follicles can't do it? Also, he's like always holds a perfect 5 o'clock shadow. I'm like, are all these people just keeping up with their beard?
That
I
is
can't keep up with a beard with an electric shave.
One
Like
of the
razor.
things. But everyone, if you think about Lost, everyone on the island has all the male characters were that early 2000s rugged soap opera look.
Sawyer? Oh. Am I right? Strong chin Sawyer, as we call him.
Dude, would have been so great if they had given Kate a 5 o'clock shadow as well. She like turns around, her hair is flowing in the wind, and just a perfect,
Yeah, like
pouty 5 o'clock shadow.
like the guy from the Eurovision Song Contest.
Exactly.
Did you guys watch Eurovision, right?
No.
Way back.
Absolutely.
Not the actual
The movie.
the movie, not
No.
the actual Eurovision Song Contest, which is a lot of fun. But you didn't watch it with Will Ferrell,
a
Rachel
great movie.
McAdams.
No,
It's
I'm
not a
looking
great
up the
movie, but
Lost
it's really
characters.
hilarious.
Oh, I really enjoyed it.
There's some real funny moments.
Can I say something to get us back in?
Sure.
So I watched Cheaper by the Dozen, and it's a pretty silly movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of silly little things happening.
There's some real heart to it, though.
There's a heart to it. Yeah, it does, it has it. But I just like a lot of the silly moments. I was like, this is great because this movie knows not to take itself so seriously.
Totally.
He knows it's kind of a kids movie, and so it's like all the silly like cut to the kids going like all those little moments. I was like, they're just having fun. Everyone's having fun. They shot it. It's a good time. That's all it's meant to be.
That's a great point. There's nothing worse than watching a movie that doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, and it's trying to be something.
Right. And you
like
go,
Captain America Brave New
I
World.
would forgive or not care about crazy corny lines or whatever.
Yeah.
When it's like you're trying to take yourself
Really seriously.
really seriously.
Yeah.
It's, you can't add those little like one-liners. Producers, don't stop making them do it. Like
Don't make them do it.
don't make them do it.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a fun, silly movie, like
Have fun.
have fun with it. Have fun with it.
Make it ridiculous.
Also,
It's fun.
let's not overlook Steve Martin and Bonnie Hunt in that. I freaking
Phenomenal.
They're
obviously
great.
Steve Martin is Steve Martin. He's so good.
Yeah.
Bonnie Hunt is a legend. I
Yeah.
think she's so good.
Yeah,
She's so
she's
funny, dude.
so great.
She's
Her
amazing.
one of my favorite lines of all time in all of cinema is when she is. I guess she doesn't even really deliver the line, but in Monsters Inc., where they're like going through the simulation, she's the person who's doing the teaching the simulation, and she goes, "What did he do wrong?" And she goes, "The door. He left the door open. And why do we not leave the door open?" And then one monster goes, "Because he'll let in a draft." It's so he could let in a child.
You did that so perfectly.
That feels like a good water news.
The line that was a really good water news. The line that I love from that movie. That now we're on this whole tangent, but now the line that I love from that movie that I quote I've quoted it two different times this week is, I said to her, "You talk to me like that again, we're through." Oh God, what did she say? You know my mom. She sent me to my room. Oh my God. Love that line.
This morning we usually find a little song we sing to Marion, and we were singing I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you.
Oh, let's go.
I wouldn't have nothing.
What a good. Speaking of a good duo.
It could happen.
Billy Crystal, John Goodman. Yeah, now we really are just merging into our favorite Monsters Inc. bits. Which, speaking of, they know who they are, right? Pixar.
Monsters.
Early Pixar,
man. They used to know. When they had... before old Huggy Hands got fired. Yeah, Lasseter.
John Lasseter.
Got fired for hugging people too much.
Wait, what happened?
Well, he actually did. He greeted them with a kiss as well, but he hung out in Europe a lot.
Kissing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, he made people feel uncomfortable.
He stepped down. It's not okay, but I mean, if you're gonna overlook something.
I'm not saying it was
maybe
okay.
make a call back to Lasseter.
I'm not saying it was okay, and I wasn't there. And if he sexually harassed someone, then obviously, fire him. And maybe that happened.
He greeted people with a kiss, and we're not in Europe, and it's not way back in the day.
My sister-in-law does that. It's in the Northeast. It's normal.
Yeah,
she kisses us all on the cheek, and I'm like,
maybe he's from the Northeast.
You greet with your brothers a heavenly kiss.
Amsterdam, they do 3 kisses. You go back.
Some
to the
Aboriginal tribes do French kissing,
which totally makes.
I made that up to impress you. Sorry, that's not even true.
They call it French kissing, which is a little confusing because they're like, we've been here way longer than the French. The
French stole it from the Australian Aboriginals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this?
Cultural appropriation at its finest.
Greatest way in the world to greet people. Are you freaking kidding me? This is how we will greet each other all the time from now on.
Aborigine kiss. That doesn't flow.
No. We will call it the French kiss. Hey, Italians, bet you never heard of this. Oh, romance language is my butt. We are so much more romantic than you. Oh, hey, King of England, we would like to have you come over for our royal procession dinner. Just wait till he gets a load of our tongues.
Not the first time a French person has said that.
That's why the French were not doing that great in World War II. Oh, it's okay, Adolf. Why don't we greet you? We will come closer. We will give you the classic greeting we did not steal from the Aboriginals.
What a weird bit.
The weirder the bit. See, this is the problem. Is if I like the bits that I think are funny are just. They just make people look at me weird.
Well, that's...
You should do the bit I called you last night about.
Unfortunately, if people laugh too hard at that, then we will get in trouble.
I did. So this goes back to... We'll wrap it up with this. Speaking of being yourself, Darius can do voices. He can do impressions.
Yeah.
And is it bad to do a really good impression of... someone who is not from the United States, that has an accent because of their original language, learning.
Yeah.
Is that is that bad. And I think that people blanch at it, but I don't think it's bad. I think it is just I don't blanch at Ben Stiller doing the Spanish speaking news in Anchorman, right? Like,
It's fine.
it's fine. It's silly.
I think that I understand why some people don't get it. I'm not going to quit doing it. In my personal life, I'm going to keep doing it. You won't hear me doing it while I'm preaching.
I called Darius and I think it's a guy from Dominican Republic, but I was listening to a baseball interview.
The Dominican.
And he's hitting these in batting practice, he's hitting it right up the middle, right? And the reporter goes, "How important is that to be focused on the center field, be focused up the middle when you're hitting balls?" And he goes, "It's a lot of important." I go, "Darius,
funny.
this is you got to have it in your back pocket. A lot important is a really funny, just like flow." But that's if I tried to speak Spanish, I probably would sound silly.
Yeah, they would laugh at you. And they laugh at me when I try to speak Spanish. People laugh at me.
As they should, because it's funny.
The institutional memory that some people have, where we still have films that were famous films where non-white people are made fun of because of the way they talk, and they're doing it maliciously to make
that's the difference,
to make a fool out of their entire group of immigrants. That's hurtful, and I understand that. But they do sound funny. But you have to take it back too and realize that it's not a race thing. Like, maybe for some people it is, but those people are few and far between. When Irish people came here from
I was doing the Irish accent in Ireland. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Because they were speaking with such a thick Irish accent, as you would expect.
And so it's not a color of the skin. I know some people want it so badly to project this on everyone, that everyone hates someone because of the color of the skin. It's not really a color of the skin issue for 99% of people. There is a 1% of people who, for whatever reason, they are inbred or whatever, they just don't get it. They think skin color matters. But for most of it, it's just people who are different. People are going to be curious about them. And also sometimes they're going to be mistreated. When paper white Irish people came to America, they were treated like a different class of people. Yeah, and in England, if you ask Irish people about the way that England has treated them, they all look pretty much identical, and they're definitely treated differently.
They hate each other just the same. Just the same.
Look, we can all hate each other. Anyway, all that to say, be yourself, I guess.
Be yourself. Someone is going to hate you, but, other people aren't going to.
Yeah.
I do.
Great advice.
Listen, I just, every now and again, I think I'm a pretty well-liked guy. And then every now and again, you find the people that you go, I don't think this person likes me very much.
Yep.
And that's okay. That's okay. They're out there. Haters gonna hate.
And the players
are gonna
play.
Yeah. What I'm gonna do.
And all you gotta do.
Yep. What is it, Darius?
Just shake. I want to shake it off. Tell a fella over there with the really good hair. Why don't you come over here, baby? Baby, I can shake. I wrote those for Taylor, my friend. Sure, she could use them in a song.
Like, subscribe, repost.
Follow us on Instagram. We need more followers on Instagram.
Ben, try not to sound too desperate.
Please
follow us on. Please.
But
do follow us on Instagram.
More people interact when I post about NewWay than the actual NewWay page. We did in the middle of the pod get a comment from Allie Anderson. Should I read it?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So I just posted our movie trailer. I just posted our movie trailer.
I love that video.
And Allie said, "This is beautiful. Looks like you guys were given 2 separate prompts to film and weren't allowed to see what the other one was."
That's pretty close, I think, what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we also, if you guys, because this is what I try to repost, we were getting a Snyder fan on our YouTube comments. Me and Darius were having some real fun with him. And you guys should also go have fun.
Yes. I
In a
like
nice way.
the-
Be nice and funny.
Be nice.
the
Don't
YouTube.
be mean.
If you've made it this far, you probably don't care about the YouTube Shorts because those are quick content. You've
Yeah.
made it an hour into the podcast, but there's shorter ways to enjoy the content as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, get it, guys.
Go get it.
And we keep steadily climbing in subscribers.
Hey, that's fun.
Which is a lot of fun on Spotify. So if you have not done that yet, do us a favor, smash that like button,
Smash the button.
and subscribe. And we'll see you next week. We have a guest.
What the heck?
We have a guest next
Jesus?
week. I honestly can't remember.
Oh, well, if it's
No,
not
you
either,
said- I
would
I'm
love
gonna
to
be
tease
pretty
it.
Disappointed.
I would love to tease it. I can't. We've got another author coming up, and then we've got
Yes.
someone who does he specializes in Star Wars digital collecting.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
that's cool.
Yeah.
He's got a
So,
bunch of nifts.
I don't know. Somebody who reached out, and I go, "That's kind of fun." Yeah.
So you said anyone could just get on the podcast if you just email us at newwaystoriespod@gmail.com?
It's a good start. It's a good start.
It is. We will honestly, all of the listeners, we could just cycle through. If you want to be on the pod, we'll
Let us
interview
know.
you.
Maybe,
Maybe not
But-
Ali Anderson.
but you got to reach out first.
Just kidding.
You know,
If you could do
Dude.
another member of the Trump team and do their impression, like FK.
Someone that could do a good
This is the
Elon.
last. This is the last
It-
thing.
sucks
This
if you
is
could
the
do an
last
Elon.
thing, and then we're
No.
out. I was at trivia, and a guy tried to make a joke to me,
Mhm.
and I was like, "What was that?" And then he said it again. I was like, "Dude, I can't hear you." And he said it again. I was like, "Oh, cool." And then I walked away,
You
and then I
said-
came back, and I go, "Dude,
Oh, Jesse.
there's nothing worse than trying a joke and
Yeah,
the person not hearing it, and
Yep.
it just takes away the punch." And I go,
Mhm.
"You deserved better. You deserved better.
Yeah,
You put yourself out there
Yeah.
Yep.
trying to make a joke to the host."
Was your joke good? No, it was terrible. But do I owe
I mean,
you an
it wasn't-
apology? I'm kidding.
It
I'm
wasn't
teasing.
a terrible joke. It wasn't great, but I was like,
Sure.
"You deserved better than what I gave
Right.
you." So
It probably- yeah.
I issued that sincere apology.
Good.
Because jokes failing in real life is something that I've been looking at recently.
It's also hard when you're the person on the microphone and you do something funny, because then there's the other added level of
This
people
kid-
see you. People see you as you're the funny guy in the room.
Yeah.
I'm about to make the funny guy laugh, and
This
then it really
kid-
sucks.
guy, he made it to me. The worst thing is, which is why I hate stand-up comedy audiences. They people think the normal person
Mhm.
thinks, not normal. There's a lot of people who think they're a part of the show by yelling out.
Mm.
And
Gosh.
at trivia, it'll happen where I'll do an answer and someone will yell out an obviously wrong answer. It's like the apples to apples effect where they go,
would do
"This is going to be so hilarious."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "This is not." But as I'm walking around, you want to make a joke to me or interact with me? It's great.
Yeah. It is funny because the point of stand up is for it to seem like it's unplanned.
Right.
The presentation is supposed to appear.
Yeah. It should
Yeah. And
spontaneous.
spontaneous. There you go. And people don't realize that it is the least, for
Someone
most
has
people,
crafted a show.
it is the least spontaneous talking you're
Yeah.
ever going to get from someone.
Yeah.
It's a scripted thing. It's just the script is funny.
They're just performing it really well.
Yep. All right, guys. That's it.
Bye.
See you later.